everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am Marie of Historical Belle, and today I'm going to be showing you how I made a medieval smock with just a t-shirt. Now, what is a medieval smock, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. So a smock, sometimes it's called a shift, sometimes it's called a chemise, but basically it's an undershirt, it's an underdress, a slip, if you will, which it goes under your clothes. It's the thing that's closest to your skin. It's what you're going to be washing the most because it's going to get the stinkiest and the sweatiest and therefore the dirtiest with all your like bodily oils and secretions. So they're very important because they keep your nicer outer garments cleaner and then hopefully you will not have to launder those as much. So today I will be showing you how to make a medieval smock. Again, with only using a t-shirt. I had no pattern. I just drafted it using a t-shirt as reference and some measurements, and I'm going to show you how to do that too.
For this project, I will be using unbleached linen fabric that my mom found at a thrift shop for $10. An amazing find, I know. She's the best at thrifting. Now, as I said before, I do not have a pattern. I will be using one of my t-shirts as a guide though. I laid down my t-shirt on my fabric and I pinned the outline. This helped me get the neckline in the right place. I also measured how long I would like my smock to go, which was to just under my knee, about mid-shin. And then, of course, that's how long my shift is going to be. I took that measurement and then I lined up my measuring tape from the top of the shoulder all the way down, and then I pinned that line as well. And then that's going to be my front and back pattern piece. Now the fabric was the perfect width. When I laid my t-shirt down flat, it was the exact width as my fabric, so I didn't have to do anything about width. I just got lucky in that regard. I then cut out my front and back pieces. Now I wanted to let you know there are some other wonderful videos out there on YouTube about how to make a medieval smock or how to make other medieval underwear, and I will reference those down in my description box below so that you can go check those out yourself. Now here I pinned the shoulder seam and then I'm making a gap to allow for the sleeve, which I think was about 8 inches, and then I added 2 for the gusset. I then measured from under my arm to my natural waist so that I could see how long I needed my side seam to be, because the rest is going to be filled in with my gusset. So I'm going to have actually a really small side seam, like only 8 inches. So here I am going from right under where I marked where my gusset is going to go, and then measuring down 8 inches, pinning those 8 inches together, and then that is what's going to be my side seam. Now it's time to draft a pattern for the gores. The gores are shapes of fabric that you put into your garment to help shape it. So these gores are going to be triangle. A lot of times they are triangles, but not always. So for the gores, I took a long scrap of fabric that I had. I measured how long my front and back pieces were from my waist to the hem, marked that off with pins, and then I divided the fabric in half diagonally, and voila! I have gores! And this is what they look like, all pinned out. I then stitched all of this up using my sewing machine, and then I inserted the gores in the front and back pieces. I pinned them in place and then stitched them with my sewing machine again. Of course, there were not electric sewing machines back in the Middle Ages, but all seams that do not show on the outside will be sewn with a machine for this project because I do not have time for that much hand sewing. Alright, so essentially it's to a wearable state now. So let's see how it actually fits. Alright. 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 Ooh, look how nice that one came together. Ooh, I'm getting better at this. This is not at my hips though. I'm sorry, this is not at my waist though. It's definitely at my hips, but that is something I will just keep in mind while I am making my other outer dress. It's interesting because it is about where my belly button is. But I think my waist is just a little higher than my belly button, so I'll just have to do that. I'm not going to redo these. Good gracious, no. I'm happy with that. Especially for an under chemise smock shift thing that no one is going to see. Alright. One of my concerns was I was like, I can like move in this. You know, I'm gonna make a like dance. I wanted to make sure that the gores allow for enough movement. And they do. So this is good. It was then time to start drafting the sleeve. I took the measurement from the top of my shoulder to my wrist, and then I drafted a rectangle using that measurement for the long side of the rectangle. And then for the short side of the rectangle, I used the measurement that I got from my t-shirt sleeve, which I think was about 8 inches. Of course, I drafted 2 of these rectangles because I was going to need 2 sleeves. I then drafted a pattern for the gusset. I made my gusset a 4-inch by 4-inch square, and I used my quilting ruler to help me do this, which was amazing. It's great to have quilting rulers for all sorts of things. I have used this to help me draft many a thing. It helps you get a lot of those really nice straight lines. It's just, love it. And then I'm using a fabric marker there to mark the inches that I'm going to need. And then I can just wash it out once I've sewn it, or once I've cut it out. I could do this instead of using pins for all my other things, but it just kind of depends on what mood I am in, if I use pins to mark it or if I use a fabric marker to mark the pattern that I'm drafting. Just depends. So of course I cut the gusset out, and then I'm going to insert it into my sleeve. The way that a gusset goes into the sleeve, you want to think of it as a diamond. So you're going to place half of the diamond on the sleeve, and then you're going to place half of the diamond into the smock, and it should look like a triangle when it's folded over. So just like that, right, Lucky? Yes, of course, Lucky is my faithful sewing supervisor. She is so helpful for all of my projects, and I love her so much. She is my fur baby. I then set my sleeves into my smock, and I use my sewing machine to stitch it in. And again, yes, I know that they wouldn't have had sewing machines. It's okay. It will be okay. All right, essentially it's almost done. It has all of its pieces together at least. Now I just need to do the finishing touches, hopefully. That's a good sign. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. I like it. I feel a little bit like the shepherd from your church's Christmas pageant in just this. But I also, it's a potato sack. But I make the potato sack look good. Don't you agree, Lucky? I'm happy with the neckline. I think the neckline is good. Circular, a little out, but not like too much. Like I can play with it a little bit as I hem it. The sleeves are a fairly good length considering that I still need to hem them. Also, I need to make the sleeve a little bit more fitted, as that was the style in the High Middle Ages. So I know like I could have cut it out like that, but I find it easier, and I don't feel like it saves any fabric, to just go ahead and make it as a block, and then I'm going to go back and basically I'm going to see how big my hand is at its widest point, and then I'm going to essentially make that the measurement for the opening, and then just draw a line from where that measurement is to my gusset in the underarm and shape my sleeves that way. I need to hem the bottom and finish my seams off because I'm trying to be better about that. But other than that, we're good. I feel like it has a slimming effect. Next, I need to take my sleeves in since I'm making a smock to go under tunics and kirtles from the High Middle Ages that have shaped sleeves. So I took the measurement of the widest part of my hand, which was about 8.5 inches, and then I marked off 4.5 inches on my sleeve because, again, it's the sleeve, so we're working in halves. Don't forget that, that's very important. And I made a mark at that 4.5 inch measurement, and then I used my sewing tape to play with my cat, but then also to make a diagonal line from that 4.5 inches to the top of my gusset. And that's how I took my sleeve in, and then I'm going to cut off the excess right now. So if there's anything I learned from hemming and finishing all the seams by hand on my husband's outer tunic and under tunic, is that it does take forever. So I really need to get started on this. I need this on Thursday, and it is Saturday. And I also need to make the whole outer tunic for this too, which I have the fabric for, but I haven't even cut out yet. So we're going to do a quick and dirty finish that'll have everything finished that needs to be for Thursday, and then I'll just come back and do this like sometime later because it's an under tunic. You don't see it. I really need to make an outer tunic. Alright, so I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to finish the cuffs, I'm going to finish the neck, I'm going to finish the bottom, and then all of the gores and stuff on the sides and the sleeves and whatever will be finished at some other later point. I used a hem stitch to finish off the neckline, the hem, and the cuffs. Let me know in the comments below if you prefer machine stitching or hand sewing. When I first started sewing, I preferred using machine because I thought it was so much faster, but hand sewing has really grown on me and I find it really relaxing and I like the control that I can have. I still don't like how slow it goes though, so that's why I like to kind of do a mixture of both. So here my smock is, ready to be worn under an kirtle just as soon as I make one. So tune in next week as I make a high middle-aged kirtle for myself. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to become part of the Historical Belle Society. Until next time, bye.